Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
Today we're going to talk about two seminarians that were wrongly accused of sleeping together. These allegations were printed in the, I think, the Irish Times, the Irish Independent, the Examiner. They were printed in a few different newspapers, and you're going to talk about it.
That's right, yes. I remember that there, in the recent past, in July or thereabouts, I think it happened in 2018, and it was printed as if it was truthful that two seminarians in Rome, in the Irish Pontifical College in Rome, I think they had been taken out of Minute, because Minute had a very bad reputation as being known as the Pink Palace or something of that calibre, because of a culture of homosexual behaviour. And so they were taken out of it by the Archbishop of Dublin, Diarmuid Martin, and went to Rome. And I think these might have been two of them that were accused of this in the media and got wide support in the print media, and probably on the RTE TV and radio, because they certainly pick up anything that has an anti-Catholic flavour. And so this story gained feet, but it was completely untrue. Now, the reason how it happened was that the rector of the Irish College in Rome, that these two seminarians were kind of often out in Rome drinking and to excess. It's an Irish disease in some ways, drunkenness. This is why we had the Pioneer Absence Association all those years ago, to try and undo the harm that it was doing to families and the people themselves. So these seminarians was at that. And I think the rector complained to the Archbishop of Dublin about it. And maybe that's how it got into the press, that they made then allegations. The two seminarians, these are, by the way, people that have a vocation to the priesthood, and they're going on to be priests, to study theology and philosophy. Excuse me. And so it was reported that they had been sleeping together. It was completely false. They begged the rector to make that clear, which he declined to do, and likewise the Archbishop of Dublin declined to make it clear that they didn't that they were normal heterosexual people. So that probably was how this got into the papers. Probably somebody gave this story to the papers as if there was some credence in it. Now, they objected, but one particular seminarian, he left after 4 years, and probably this didn't help. They might have been even expelled, for all I know. But suffice to say that he brought proceedings through solicitors against the Irish Times and these papers that had printed this false allegation, and it was upheld because it was false. And I believe there's been apologies in the Times, and which printed this article, and it was copied by these other papers and perhaps the TV. So there was apologies, and compensation has been issued to this ex-seminarian going on for the priesthood. And it reminds me of the case of the priest that was accused by RTE. They went to the trouble of going to Africa and mountain at fierce expense to themselves, and of course ultimately the taxpayer, to sort of blame a priest for fathering a child from an African young person, and turned out to be false, and he was awarded, lucky enough he had good solicitors, he was awarded substantial damages and apologies from RTE at the time. We haven't heard that about that for years, but they still continue, this state broadcaster, in receipt of the licence fee, which they should never receive because of the fact of what they're about, anti-Catholic agenda that they have. And so this was another example of it in the media, the print media, these papers that consider themselves so important, they're quite the reverse of what they think. I don't buy them or even read them if I can help it. He's been awarded compensation. But funny enough, the bad news travels fast, and is probably interfered, by the way, with the referendum, because it come out around that time last
It's the
year.
abortion referendum.
The abortion referendum. They didn't call it that, of course, and this didn't help, I'm sure, because it got wide publicity. So you can see where there's an agenda at work, and the fact that they're found out to be telling lies doesn't. They continue on the path that they've embarked on to their eternal shame.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Albert.